Hi, sir. Good. I'm Officer James Frederick, PD. What's your name? Nice to meet you. So we're just waiting for our sergeant to come over, and we'd like to go through your house. Are you okay with us searching through your house? All right. We'll have you sign a consent form. We just want to see if you left a note or anything inconspicuous, something like that.
All right.
So if you're good with that, we'll have you sign a consent form allowing us to search your house, and we'll wait for our sergeant to get here. But we'll grab that. You don't plan on going anywhere, right?
No, I was just going to walk around the neighborhood just to honestly clear my head.
Yeah. Which company do you work for?
Anadarko.
Anadarko. What do you do for them?
Operator.
Cool. So you work like 7 days a week?
5 and 2, like Monday through Friday. I'm doing 8 and 6 next month.
Okay. So today is Monday?
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess knowing her, so much of this does not make sense to me. She's a very meticulous person. She's very routine. Nothing's ever off.
Okay.
So like when I just talking to the girls, Addie and them telling me that, like Chris pulled the truck up to the garage at 5-something in the morning. For me, that's very weird. And the other thing that I knew was, or that she relayed, was that they just found out that, they were going to be having a boy. She's, 15 weeks along, and that they were going to be having a boy, and that they canceled the reveal, like the gender reveal party, because just the energy was not right, and that's something that she mentioned.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. While we resume the phone data review at 16:26 hours, that's the Monday afternoon, Monday the 13th, where Kelly Burke asks Watts if Shanann was awake when he left for work. Watts lied and said, "I talked to her early this morning between 4 and 5 a.m. I think she went back to sleep afterwards. She was still here when I left. Kids still sleeping." Burke said that she was scared, and Watts said he was too. 17:01 hours. Kessinger made 2 unanswered calls to Watts. Now, you can imagine at this point, the news has filtered through the office that Watts isn't at work and that the police are involved and what is going on. His family aren't home, and the gossip must be sort of circling at the office. Are you taking notes during these videos? Well, do you have a notebook, and do you have a TCRS notebook? Check the description for a link to buy them. 17:05 hours. Watts calls Chase Bank and held a nearly 2-minute conversation. He called a separate number for Chase moments later and held a 2.5-minute conversation. What were these calls related to? Were they related to the mortgage? Were they related to debt payments? Were they related to him trying to sell his home? Because interestingly, Shanann got paid on the Tuesday. Also, the garbage collection in Frederick is on a Tuesday as well. At 17:30 hours, Watts made an unanswered call to Kessinger. 17:48 hours, unaware of events, the realtor Ann Meadows asked if Watts drove by 6508 Saratoga. Completely aware of events, Watts still replied, "Just did. Yep, that's the exact model." What we're talking about here is on the way back from the well site. On the way back from the well site to the crime scene, Watts literally goes house shopping. He literally passes by 6508 Saratoga. That's the house that he's possibly intending to buy once he disposes of 2528 Saratoga Trail. So when he says that's the exact model, I wonder whether he's saying that's the kind of format in terms of house that he's looking for. 1800 hours, following suggestions by many, Watts searched Google for hospitals near his home. So someone's got to tell him, in between him doing his house hunting, to call the hospitals. Maybe that's where Shanann went. Remember, she had a doctor's appointment that day and she didn't go there. You can imagine that does make sense, that instead of going to the doctor's appointment, if something happened on the way there, she may have gone straight to a hospital. And so in less than 4 minutes, what's called Good Samaritan Medical Center, St. Anthony North Health Campus, Longmont United Hospital, and UC Health, that's in Broomfield. And this is, again, just showing the critical thinking of the guy conducting the phone data review. He noted that the average duration of these calls was 40 seconds. The longest was 69 seconds, so barely a minute and 10 seconds. Out of curiosity, the guy conducting the phone data review called these hospitals. Without identifying himself, he asked if a Rollo Tomasi was a patient, and he says it took 2 minutes to get an answer. And so he says, quite rightly, I suspect Watts merely called each hospital to create a trail of concocted concern, very well expressed there, concocted concern, and never actually spoke with anyone. That too is showing clear guilty knowledge. 1823 hours, Burke asked Watts if he had any luck with the hospitals, and Watts said no luck at all. 1830 hours, Meadows asked Watts if Shanann was okay, noting that she had not taken part in their group text exchange about selling the house. Watts replied, she hasn't been around all day. It's very odd. So do you notice what's actually taking place here? On the same day Watts is looking to sell the house, which is a major step, Shanann is out of the picture. Okay, 1852 hours. Watts told Samantha Paisley, aka Sam, I'm praying so hard, I'm sick to my stomach, cops searched the house up and down and drilled me pretty hard. I have no idea where they could be. Sam asked why the police were drilling him. An hour later, Watts explained, they are just being thorough. They got to do all the digging they can. I saw them this morning. Yeah, people are helping me search. You don't need to get on a plane. We have a lot of support here. So he's trying to keep her there. Now, I'm going to read this again, but I want you to pay attention to the language he uses, bearing in mind what we know, right? We know that the bodies were left at an oil site, which is where drilling takes place, fracking, that kind of thing. And we also know that Shanann was pregnant. And we also know that Watts dug a grave in the sand, right? Now think about all of that's in his mind. He has guilty knowledge of that. That is something he actually did. Now think of his word choices. Let's go through it again. I'm praying so hard. I'm sick to my stomach. Cops searched the house up and down. That's probably what he did after committing the crime, went up and down through the house. Drilled me pretty hard, right? I have no idea where they could be. Then he says, they are just being thorough. They got to do all the digging they can. That's how he felt. He had to do all the digging he could do. I saw them this morning. Yeah, people are helping me search. You don't need to get on a plane. We have a lot of support here. And what else was supposed to happen that night, Monday night? Well, at 1900 hours, Watts received a calendar notice titled Dinner with Shanann. Shanann had a similar entry, Dinner with Chris, but scheduled for an hour later. And you can imagine Chris was anticipating an argument there. He was anticipating being confronted. And of course, he had something to hide. The other thing that was supposed to happen, can you remember what was going to happen that Monday night? What was he terrified of taking place, obviously, on social media? What major announcement? Yes, the gender reveal. And the gender reveal wouldn't so much reveal that Shanann was pregnant, but that it was his child and that they were still married, and he would need to be present and participating as though they were still happily married, which until certainly that point, Shanann was under the assumption they were. But Kessinger wasn't. At 21:12 hours, a line at the Frederick Police Department called Watts and held a 6-minute conversation.
This is Chris.
Hey, Chris, it's Officer James Frederick, PD.
How's it going?
Good. I was just calling to see if you had heard anything.
I haven't heard anything at all, sir.
Okay. Had you talked to the friends after we left some more?
Yeah, I've called the hospitals, and I had a couple friends stop by as well, and nobody's heard anything. They've even reached out to some people that I didn't know. So.
Okay. Do you have any contact info for some friends that you talked to on the phone? That way, do you have any suspicions at all where she'd be?
I honestly don't have any, like, inkling of where she would be unless somebody is just not telling me if we called them.
Okay. Do you have some people that I can call and let them know that we're looking for them, and if they don't necessarily want to tell you some stuff, that we would like to know where she's at? You know what I'm trying to say? That maybe they're afraid to tell you some stuff, but they'd tell it to us?
Yeah. So, let me look here. So, do you have Addie Maloney's number?
No. Go ahead with that. Okay.
Yeah, Sam Paisley's number?
Just go ahead and give them all to me.
Okay, so Sam Paisley,
Okay.
Look through some text messages. Christina Meacham.
Okay. Any others?
Okay. I'm looking right through my text messages. Jeremy Lindstrom.
Okay. What?
That's about all the new ones that I know you probably didn't have.
What?
I've heard from tonight.
When I was over there, we didn't ask what kind of marital problems are you guys having? Why are you guys wanting to separate?
Mainly because, like, when we were apart for, she was in North Carolina for 5 weeks.
Is that North Carolina?
It just felt like, yeah, she went to North Carolina for 5 weeks, and
Okay.
I went down there for the last week, so 6 weeks altogether. And it was mainly just a disconnect. Like, we just fell out of love with each other. It was like once we got back, like once we were together again on that last week, it just never felt the same. And we talked about it while we were there, and it just felt that disconnect, and I just didn't feel like we were in love anymore.
Okay. Had you had any marital problems before that?
Not really. I mean, the main thing is, like, I could never really be myself, and, like, I felt like, you know, I could never just be who I was, like, before I met her, like, and she could never see me. And I feel like I'm just talking to, like, a psychiatrist about this right now. But, like, we just had that disconnect. Like, once I saw her again, it was just like, no, it wasn't there anymore.
Okay. And it's going to be a hard question to answer, but is she seeing anyone else that you're aware of?
I mean, I'm not going to say no, because, I mean, it's totally possible.
Okay. Are you seeing anyone else that she isn't aware of?
No, I have not done that.
Okay.
And then barely 2 hours later at 23:09, this is the last entry into August 13th, day 0, Kessinger called Watts and held a 51-minute conversation. Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Tomorrow we will deal with day 1, which is the day Chris Watts gives his infamous sermon on the porch, also when he goes over to the neighbor, Trinastich. And remember what the neighbor says to the police.
No.
And we'll deal with that in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss alerts to the next episodes. If you found value out of this episode, please do hit the thanks button, and I'll see you guys next time.